Hello, welcome back to Called to Homeschool with your amazing coach, Meg Thomas, where today we are diving in connection over curriculum, the 80-20 rule for homeschool success. Friends, I'm so glad you are here. And I know we're wrapping up in May, and this has been on my mind a lot lately about this 80-20 rule. And it came to me while running because if any of you have been following along, my sister talked me into doing a marathon this weekend. And we have been training, and it hasn't gone as well as I hoped it had. And I am really great to get out and do the run and check it off and like fantastic. I did the mileage. Was it bumpy? Yes. Was it ugly? Yes. Did I walk a lot? Probably. Right. And I've just watched as this training cycle that I focused on like getting those miles, check. And I haven't improved like I hoped I would. And as I was going on my run this morning, I was just thinking about like good laws this weekend, and I like this is so stinking hard. And I had the thought of that I didn't focus on nutrition. I didn't focus on building strength. I didn't focus on speed work. I didn't focus on anything but like just plugging along with these miles, doing these miles. And I just made me think about how often we just like push this curriculum and we flop it, right? Where it's like 80% the curriculum matters and 20% it's like, there, good job. I love you. And that connection piece, right? And so, like for me, I've been focusing on that 80% of running and just getting it through where like doing the running part is actually just the 20%, and it's all those other little things that matter so much more. And so that's really why I want to dive in into this today with you. um so let me find my notes. All right, just 1 second. Okay, maybe that paused for you. I don't know. I found my notes. So let's dive in. So, why connection matters more than curriculum? We often feel like we need to do more subjects, more worksheets, more check boxes. But if our kids don't feel emotionally safe, if they don't feel seen, if they don't feel connected to us, the learning doesn't stick, right? That's like you can think about this with sometimes with public schools. That's when they just learn it. They check off the box. I passed the test and I can forget it because there was no strong connection there with that teacher. So learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a relationship. Your child doesn't need a perfect curriculum because, friends, that doesn't exist. A perfect curriculum does not exist. What a child needs is you. When your child feels connected to you, they are more cooperative, more curious, and way more open to learning. Even when the work is hard, they'll be more willing to try because they know you are there cheering them on. And that is why this connection piece is so incredibly important. So, what does this look like? This 80% of connection. And this is going to be different depending on how many children you have, their ages, right? So, if you just have little kids, it's going to look very different than from teens, but the ideas are all the same. And I'll throw out some ideas for different ages and whatnot. So, it looks like starting the morning slow. And that is one of the things I love about homeschool is no like go 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 get up eat your food get dressed, right? But these slower mornings, and that can be like for you if you're not a big early morning person, maybe you get in your bed and you all snuggle together. And our family, it's getting up and going and working out together, reading scriptures together, eating breakfast together, but just that slower pace of children and doing it with them. So if you read stories to them, connect with them, talk with them, go with a walk with them, anything that you really that speaks to both of you. That connection within homeschool looks like stopping a lesson when somebody's done, right? It's so crazy when if we are like completely overstimulated, we are having an adult meltdown. We are just not feeling it, and if we have to push through something that is just not working, and we're crying and we're really upset, it just falls apart, right? And yet we do this to children all the time. Like, I know you're feel stupid about this math. I know you don't understand this, but like we've got to get on schedule. We got to do this, right? So just slowing or stopping a lesson when somebody's not understanding or not getting it, and be willing to change and actually connect with the kid before you just check off the box that we finished this worksheet. It also can look like baking cookies together or doing something fun, right? Instead of finishing a science worksheet. It looks like eye contact, hugs, laughter, and most importantly, it looks like time. And isn't that such a gift we are given as homeschool moms is time? For having, I have my four adult kids, right? And then my daughter is 17. She decided to graduate. I'll actually have her on the podcast soon to kind of talk about her homeschool experience, but it goes so fast. And I still get time with my big kids, but it's different. And so just that time with them to really build that connection is just awesome. But it also means this connection piece also means being the safe place where your child can fall apart and being patient with yourself when you don't get it perfectly. Connection means putting the relationship first. It's about building trust and showing your child that learning is a joyful, shared experience, not a performance. Can I say that again so you get this? Connection means putting the relationship first, building trust, showing your child that learning is a joyful, shared experience, not a performance. So powerful, right? So, does that mean that I don't teach my kids anything? Then we just roll around in our jammies all day and watch TV and eat junk food? Absolutely not. Curriculum does matter, right? So, like, that's my marathon saying, like, so if I just weight train and I get really great with my diet, I'm in really great shape, that like I don't really have to run. No, I still have to run, right? I still have to put in that work. So, like, there are both pieces. So, curriculum does matter, but it's not the main thing. Your curriculum is just a tool. You are the teacher, and your child is not a project. They are a person. And at 20% of curriculum, you can keep it simple, especially the younger they are. Now, as they get older, I love Thomas Jefferson Education, how it has things divided up into, now I just forgot what it's called. If you're familiar with TJ Ed, they have like for the love of learning, scholar stage, just some different stages, and I just love it because just even with my own children, we are just cramming little kids with facts and information when they could just be a kid, right? And then when they get like from 4 to 8, their school can be 15, 20 minutes long, and then when they hit 8 to 12, they're maybe ready for a little bit more, where it could be 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and then you get into the teenage years, and they're like, "Give me more! I'm so ready for this." And it is so awesome. So being really careful that you are not just like slamming them full of curriculum. So especially in the younger years, keeping it simple. Focus on reading, writing, math, right? And really just following your child's interests. It's so fun. I this year was my first year. No, I've done it before. We'd ordered Kiwi, they're called Kiwi crates, and for science. And one of our things we got was a pinball machine. So we built a pinball machine, which was a blast. I've really enjoyed Kiwi. I'm not an affiliate for them, but I've liked them if you have the budget for it. So we built a pinball machine, and then we went and watched YouTube videos of the math and like the science behind a pinball machine, how to be good at pinball. And then now we're going to go to an arcade and we're going to play pinball, right? And so like that is, to me, is so much fun. And it's not sit down, shut up and do this workbook about pinballs or just science things that maybe they don't even care about, that you can just have fun and do things that they're interested in and have a good time with it, right? And you build so much more of a connection when you are teaching that way. My kids are so excited to go to an arcade and try our skills with the pinballs, right? And we watched a lot of videos on math and the science behind it. And so it was just really, really fun to do it in such a different way. And so with curriculum, you don't need to finish every book or do every lesson. You are not behind. Can I say that enough times on our podcast, that reminding you that grade levels are made up? So there's no getting behind when things are just made up. You're tailoring your child's education to their needs. And that's the beauty of homeschooling. So that is just another great reminder. And I was even thinking about this with my youngest, where obviously I've been homeschooling for so long, and I've studied a lot of different methods and really focused on connection. And um, I would introduce the alphabet, and we sang the alphabet, and we learned the letters slowly, and then we learned the sounds the letters make. And it wasn't until he was about 8 that he really started reading comfortably, right? And then it's been interesting as we've been doing math. We've gone really slow, and I notice he's starting to get overwhelmed, and like, this is really hard. So all I do is just pull back a little bit. So that curriculum piece is not the most important, that connection piece is, and the curriculum is just an added bonus. And it works so much better when you have this connection. So if you are going to be doing connection over curriculum, chances are you're going to be afraid. and talked about fear in other episodes. But maybe your fear is, what if I'm not doing enough? Isn't that every homeschool mom I've heard say that? Like, I should be doing more. I've thought it, I've said it, right? Like, maybe I should be doing more. But this fear is very common and normal. But once again, your child is not behind. They're right where they need to be. Milestones are helpful guides, but they are not deadlines. Think about this even with a goal as an adult, right? You want to make an X amount of money. You want to be crazy and run a marathon, right? So you want to lose weight, whatever it is. And if you had this really hard, like, I have to have $100,000 in the bank by next month, and it's this hard deadline because I know other people in their 40s that have done that, um, it's not going to be very much fun if you are still paying off debt, right? But when you just give yourself, like, this is something I want to learn, and then I'm not stuck and married to this timeline, it's so amazing, right? So, same thing with your kids. They're going to learn these things. They're going to learn how to read. They're going to learn how to do math. They're going to learn history and science and all the things slowly and on their time because they will be open and receptive to your learning versus just having them perform for other people so that you feel good. Like, you tell yourself, well, okay, they can answer all these facts or they can sing a song. I totally did this when my kids were little with certain things. Like, somebody's going to question homeschool, we can wow them with this trick we can do, this song we know, right? But when we do the connection piece, we get so much more out of it. So what really matters in your homeschool is raising children who are emotionally healthy, curious, kind, confident. And those are things you can't measure with a test. Remember, learning is a lifelong journey. Trust the process. And just because some of my babies have graduated homeschool or moved out of the house, it doesn't mean that they've stopped learning. I love right now, I have my daughter home that just served her mission, and we get her home for a few more months. And she has a job where she can read a lot. And it's been so fun. She's been learning another language. She thought that would be fun to learn French. And then she'll ask me for a book. And like, she likes historical fictions as well and historical books and just the learning that she's been doing. And like, it's lifelong. She didn't have to learn these things um, back when she was doing homeschool with me, right? But like, being that lifelong learner and having that relationship with me where she is coming to me about some books and different things, right? So really focused. That's why we really want to have that focus. So what can you do today to start leaning into this 80-20 mindset? Connect with your kids. Now, part of the connection piece is making sure that we aren't doing things to cause a large disconnect. And so, I'm a big fan of not yelling at your kids and obviously not spanking and abuse or anything like that. So, really continue to work on those skills with yourself. I talked about happy habits a few episodes ago, and it's a free download on my website. You can go grab that at coachmegthomas.com. But where you are working on a habit, maybe of not yelling, and also they can be working on a habit of something that really helps improve your home as well. But so you want to be careful of things that could cause a disconnect, because if you are trying to build a strong foundation, but you build it on sandy soil, it's going to fall apart. So we want a really firm foundation of you being the safe source. But some of the things you can do for connection is to sit down, look your child in the eyes. For an older kid, maybe ask how they're feeling. But a little kid, you can ask so many silly questions, right? And silly to me because I'm an adult, right? But like, who's your favorite superhero? If you had any superpower, what would it be? Tell me about your stuffed animals. Did you have any crazy dreams last night? Right? There's so many things that you can just going to sit down and talk with them and hear how they're doing. Pause for connection when things are falling apart. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately in all relationships. It's really easy to like and love somebody when things are going well, but to really find that love that is just solid is, can you still stay connected when things are not going well, right? If somebody is having a meltdown, if somebody is having a bad day, of holding space for them. It doesn't mean that there aren't boundaries, and it's not like you have to let them hit you or do something violent because they're having a meltdown, right? But you are not jumping in and lecturing them and getting after them, but just holding space for them to be upset. Just like a lot of adults, we want space held for us if we're upset. We want to cry or be held or do whatever to process that emotion. So do children. So that's a really great way to keep that connection. Um, in your homeschool, if there is something not working, a piece of curriculum, and maybe you're fighting over it all the time, let it go, right? Relationships are more important than the curriculum. They're going to learn. So instead of, if they really hate some math book you have, switch it up. Play some games, do something completely different. Think outside of the box of some ideas of what you could do. And then I love this a way to add in connection, add in one moment of joy. And this could be a game. Sometimes during lunch, we'll play a game. We got Clue out one day and we're playing Clue during lunch. George really loves to play poker and we just play with poker chips. And I don't even know if we're playing it right. But like we were playing that during lunch one day and a big kid came over and they were like, "What are you guys doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. He want to play a game. This is the game he wanted. He's raised with old people." So a game is such a fun, easy way to connect every day. A walk, a bike ride, a joke, right? If you have ticklish kids, tickling them, having fun, snuggling with them every day, and you will be amazed at the ripple effect. Mama, I want to just encourage you to keep going. And sometimes looking at the things you are doing and realizing that maybe right now that is enough and that you don't need to add in more things, right? You could take some stuff out and just maybe focus more on that connection piece. Your presence, your love, and your flexibility, that is the real curriculum. Your child will not remember every lesson. This is so true. My big kids came over just today and I was doing school with George and we were using these blocks for math. And he was like, "Oh, I think we did those. I can't really remember." And he goes, did it help me?" And I laughed and I said, "Yes, you loved these when you were little." So they're not going to remember every lesson, but they will remember how it felt to be homeschooled. The warmth, the laughter, and the grace. So let the connection lead. The learning will follow. And I want to leave you with this beautiful quote: "Children learn best from people they love." And that's from Dr. Gordon Newfield. Friends, thanks for spending your day with me. And if this episode spoke to your heart, I would love for you to go and give me a 5-star review and a comment about how this podcast has helped you. Maybe share it with a mom that needs to just a sweet reminder of to focus on that connection first. Friends, have a great one, and I'll talk to you next week.